Welcome to Catalyst for Healing. I am here today with a very special guest, Krystal Rose, some subconscious therapy, and she is going to explain a little bit more about what she does. But I had the privilege of doing a session with you today, and it was amazing. And we're going to actually send that out on Thursday, some of the footage of that. But anyway, why don't you introduce yourself? And
Definitely. I like to introduce myself because it's a lot of things that are not relatively well known. So, subconscious therapy, I do a form called Rapid Transformation Therapy along with a few other modalities. And ultimately, it is rewiring your mind and body. So, my company is called the Rewired Self, and we focus on neurosomatic transformation. So, rapid transformation therapy was created by Marissa Peer,
okay.
who's also a therapist and a hypnotherapist.
Mhm.
And she saw different patterns on how to have quick transformation or I would say quick shifts in a mindset at a subconscious level. And so, my experience with mental health. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
answer that.
So I mean, one of the reasons we met and really just because we were talking about different modalities of healing, and you and I have had some similar experiences
Yeah.
in what we've been drawn to in terms of healing modalities. But yeah, why don't you share a little bit about your personal experience with mental health and how you got to where you're at now and becoming a coach, and
Yes,
share with the
definitely.
audience that journey. Yeah.
So I do I used to be ashamed to talk about mental health in general, and it's been such a big part of my life for such a long time. I was diagnosed as clinically depressed or chronically depressed at the age of 14, had insomnia at the age of 15, and anxiety. And my doctors told me that I would be like that forever, essentially. And
Wow.
that was really hard to hear.
14.
At 14,
Wow.
I will be depressed forever and I need to be on medication for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh.
I don't recommend the doctors that I went to.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can imagine hearing that really added to probably fueling the ongoing depression. And at that time, mental health, it was definitely, there's therapy and there's things for it, not as much as there is today,
Yeah.
and not as much awareness. So there was kind of still a stigma of it being bad. And my brother used to tease me all the time. I love him, but when you're a kid and your siblings, you tease each other, and he'd call me a depressed girl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, as an insult. So it was, there's a lot of things around being depressed that made me feel really ashamed of that. And as I got older, it definitely got worse in my college years and into my 30s. My 30s is when I decided to do something different than what I was trying. The medication, the talk therapy, while it is necessary, talk therapy, very much necessary. Medication, for some
Has its
instances,
place.
it
Yeah.
definitely has its place. But for me, my experience and a lot of experience of other people that I've encountered was we go in for help and we get prescribed medication almost instantly.
Yeah.
Without really talking about what the root cause may be. In talk therapy, we could discuss it, but I'm 17. I don't know what to bring up other than I'm angry at my parents and I'm angry at the world and I feel hopeless. I don't have the capacity to really talk about these things or even uncover the root cause of
Right.
it. Yeah.
And at the time, I mean, you're younger than I am, but I feel like it's an amazing shift that we've come to. Whereas, like, when I was growing up, the only people that went to therapy were the crazy ones.
Yes.
And nowadays, it's like if you're not in therapy, there's something wrong with you because you're not working on yourself. I mean, it's just kind of funny how
Like
things
you're
like that happen. Like, even therapists, like, we used to be considered, I don't know, like, people just discarded us a little bit in like terms of what we do. And I feel like now, for some reason, therapists are having a moment.
Oh yeah, you guys are the
Right.
angels now. It's amazing. Like, why don't you go tell your shrink? Or, oh, your shrink, you just sit there and judge people. And now it's like,
I know people are like respectful of our
yeah,
career. I mean, so it's just funny how society shifts. But I will say, I mean, that is one of my biggest missions in telling my own story with medication is back in the day, it was very much like that was the first line of treatment
yeah,
was immediate medication. And as we know, medication without therapy, the benefits are pretty minimal
yeah,
for most people because you have to do some of the shifting of the behaviors, the
right.
beliefs, all the stuff. Okay, so you got to a point where you had done the medication, you had done the therapy, you weren't feeling better. What happened? Like, what was your
What was the
bottom, I
bottom?
guess, if you think back?
Yeah. So with it's I'll back it up. When my I was told that my depression came from a chemical imbalance,
Right.
and that was what my mother was told as well. There's a lot of um, mental, I'm just saying struggles, because I hate the word illness, because it sounds like it's you're destined for it,
Yeah,
or
totally.
you're stuck with it. So there's a lot of mental, emotional uh, challenges in processing things, in our processing our trauma. And so there's a lot of diagnoses as bipolar. So I thought there's a bug in my hat.
Oh, no
I'm like,
problem.
sorry, let it go. And I did not have a good support system. I didn't have definitely no community. And I saw a therapist maybe a few times, if I got to, a few
Yeah.
times a month. And it wasn't really helping me. In fact, because I was not mentally well, I was also not taking the medication as prescribed. I wasn't doing things like exercising, being in positive environments, being around positive people, not drinking. Like, I wasn't doing all the things that I needed
Right.
in addition to medication. And it got to a point, since whatever my beliefs were that were causing the depression
Yeah.
weren't being addressed, but it was creating my reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it was creating a reality that was very dark, very dysfunctional, very erratic, chaotic. And I tried my best to be normal. I became obsessed with self-development in college. And I finished college, which was I don't know how that happened, because if I wasn't in bed,
Yeah.
um, I was very depressed and suicidal during college years as well.
Wow. She likes to join us.
So by the time I graduated college, found a partner, we got married. So my late 20s, I had everything on paper that society was supposed to have: married, home, the golden retriever, nice neighborhood, a job that eventually got 6 figures, traveling. I got to go to Germany and all over the country, and I had anxiety every day. I had still had really bad insomnia that I was self-medicating. I stopped taking the prescriptions. I would just a bottle and a half a night of alcohol.
Wow.
To fall asleep.
That's a
Or
depressant.
I remember I used to buy NyQuil several times a week
Wow.
and drink way too much of it.
Yeah.
In order to help me get to sleep. And I think even though with the suicide, trying to overdose on my prescription meds or fighting or wanting to take my life.
Did you try?
I did try.
Wow.
Luckily, I was bad at it. So
I'm glad.
yeah,
I really like you.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here because I'm on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's completely night and day. So that story I get to share as well. But leading up to it was just, I really had to fight every day to just remain on the planet so that I don't hurt other people.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of, I knew my death would cause
Right.
a lot of pain. And I didn't want anyone feeling what I felt.
Right.
So I was just living in it. And after, I don't say this metaphorically, I literally lost everything. I got divorced, lost my job, lost my home, was living out of my car, and lost
And this was
all my
how long
savings.
ago?
I'm about to turn 40. So this was right at 31, I think. and maybe 32. And, I was spiraling,
Yeah.
while also trying to do the right things. It was very chaotic, which a psychiatrist would say that it's bipolar. But really what I was doing was I was trying to create new beliefs and a new life with the old programming. And I didn't know that at the time.
I love that.
I know it now. Yes.
Because I was actually going to say, just before you go on, when you said I was creating my life with the baggage and beliefs that I had, how does that work? Just so people can understand,
Yes.
like how we are, creating our reality with.
Absolutely. Okay. So Dr. Joe Dispenza has a very simple way of putting it. Our mentality creates our reality. So our beliefs, which are created typically between 0 and 7, and yes, the new beliefs are created, but our core programming is created from 0 to 7 years old.
It's crazy.
Influenced by family first, culture, society, environment, culture, religion. So those beliefs then produce our thoughts. Our thoughts create our emotions. Our emotions create our actions, our behaviors. They turn into patterns, which we call our personality. And our personality creates our reality, right? So when I was a person who was depressed and negative and angry, and I had a lot of angry people around me, I saw things in a negative light. I was very I was protesting everything. Nothing could be right. If like my father said something about one president, I would find something to rebuttal it, and if he said something nice, I would find something to rebuttal. Like I was just, and in that, my friends groups, my jobs, everything was always just negative and dramatic.
So you were drawn to that because
I was drawn to it,
to what you were feeling.
I was drawn to it. I was familiar. I was attracting it.
Okay, interesting.
Additionally, I had a victim mentality,
Right.
and I have been a victim and I've been victimized, but I had a victim mentality. So I just kept putting myself in a victim situation, right? Whether it's getting violated physically, mentally, emotionally. So that reality, I hated it.
Yeah.
I really, really hated it. And I didn't realize that I was creating it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers your question. Any takeaway that you get from today is your beliefs create your reality. So if you want to change a reality, you have to go back and look at the beliefs that created that reality in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you change a victim mentality? And what can you define what that is?
A victim mentality is not saying that you're not justified that you were a victim, or that it's not. I don't want to take away that if someone was victimized, that happened to you. That's very real. But a victim mentality is, why does this always? It can be something simple as things always go bad. Why does this happen to me?
Right.
There's always something. All men are going to abuse me. All women are going to abuse me or take advantage of me. I'm never going to get a promotion because I'm brown. I'm never going to get taken seriously because I'm a woman. And that type of mentality, when you have that mentality, or if you have just that belief, your thoughts, your belief create your thoughts. So I'm always thinking of that someone's going to hurt me or not do me wrong. I'm actually actively creating and attracting people who are going to do wrong to me. So it keeps feeding that narrative.
Right.
So I'm finding evidence.
Okay.
So when people get offended when they say they have a victim mentality, I did.
Yeah.
And it's because you think I want this.
Right.
You think I want this bad stuff to happen to me.
Right.
But there's also part of my journey was understanding how the law of attraction works. I don't mean to make this like woo woo or spiritual, but it's there is an aspect of that we have power in what we're creating. Yeah. I'll give an example. So when we create a belief, our mind wants to prove it's right. So it'll look for evidence. Mm-hmm. Just like when you are shopping for a car, right? You want people always use a red car, but like any car that you want, when you have that idea in your mind that, oh, I want a red CRV. I did want a CRV at one time. Yeah. you start seeing that car everywhere. Like,
Oh,
I never knew.
street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that all of a sudden God just put all these cars on the road. It's like, no, your brain's now looking for it.
Right. That
So
totally makes sense.
it does. So when
Yeah.
you think of, you can switch it around from victim to lucky girl syndrome.
Yeah.
Everything always happens for me. I'm super hot. That's where your brain is constantly looking for evidence to prove that.
Right. Right.
And I love that now that now that I had the depression blinders off and I took accountability for the power that I have to create my life, I start saying really cool stuff. Everything always works out for me. And it does.
Yeah.
Like, there are no lines today at such and such place. And
Mhm.
there's no lines. And I mean, sometimes there are.
Yeah.
This is California, so there's gonna be lines. But there's really a lot of power in our beliefs. So going back to the victim mentality, it's
Right.
if we get victimized once and we choose to say, "Oh, I'm a victim," then your mind starts looking for evidence of that. It happens a few times again. Now I'm being victimized,
Right.
constantly. The world's against me. No one's there for me.
Right.
I'm not lovable. That becomes our reality. Victim mentality has a bad
I know it has a
connotation to
bad
it.
connotation, and I remember feeling defensive if someone would say like, "Oh, you're being a victim," because a lot of times you're not conscious of it, right?
Right. Right.
And it's often trauma that you're just playing out over and over. You don't
Yeah.
even know it.
And it's unfair. You are in a bad space when you're doing that.
Right.
It's not, doesn't feel good. And maybe we could be a little bit gentler on how we say things to each other, but I mean, that's always going to be a learning process.
Sure.
So a takeaway too is to understand that someone told me you can't take offense or get offended if you don't take offense.
Yeah.
And so I had a victim mentality. That is the
Mhm.
absolute truth. And I had to realize that. And when I did, man, did my ego hurt so bad.
Yeah.
But I give myself props because it still was allowed to hear that.
Right.
And to look in the mirror.
Right.
But the way that I got there was when I had that turning point of,
Yeah. So you hit the rock bottom. You're divorced, no
Literally.
place to live. I mean, any other things happening?
I would say substance, alcohol
Okay.
abuse. I was too scared to dabble with anything else because all my life I was told that I have psychosis and I'm bipolar. So I was too scared to try anything else. But alcohol, which is straight up poison,
Yeah.
would make it dramatically worse.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have enough time to say exactly how I got to my low point. Let's just say I had to hit a lot of bottoms before I was finally like, okay, Krystal, how much more can you take?
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I hated my life so bad, not just because I was depressed, but because I had really created a bad place for me to be. My beliefs were I was unsafe, so I kept creating an unsafe place.
Yeah.
And the point was I was again facing suicide, and I just got tired. I'm like, girl, either pull the trigger or figure it out.
Yeah.
And I told myself, okay, I'm going to figure it out. I thought of my nieces and nephews, and my siblings have kids, and I could not let them. I could not be the cause of any of their pain that I was feeling. So I said, I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a lot of other people who experience suicidal thoughts, and we're just like, oh, well, maybe I might get hit by a bus or a car, and then it won't be my fault.
Right.
And I was having so many of those thoughts, but it was just like, look, you're tired of living like this. Either figure it out. There has to be an answer.
Right.
And so once I started putting out into shifting my mindset to like, I'm going to find the change.
Yeah.
Things started showing up.
Mm-hmm.
I was ironically doing life coaching at off and on during my marriage and during my fall out with my life. And I took a neurolinguistic programming NLP class, which a lot of life coaches now take it,
Yeah.
therapists are
Yeah,
taking
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And that really started to started making the shifts first.
Yeah.
Because it started changing the way language and how I framed things. I'm just like, oh. The next was so that NLP was very helpful. Talk therapy was always helpful, but it still wasn't getting me anywhere because now I know better, but nothing was changing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part where people get stuck and why people think talk therapy doesn't work. It does. Talk therapy is super helpful. My clients I encourage them to go to talk therapy, and once they're done working with me, they stay there, not because they're not better, but because it is helpful to talk to someone who can help you process your thoughts.
Yeah. And it's really helpful for attachment. So like people that have no attachment,
right?
Just having someone holding space and mirroring is so valuable to feel connected. And then they know how to do that with other people.
Yes. Some people, therapist is their lifeline. They don't have anyone else in their community, their home, their family that they can talk to. Therapists are essentially angels, and there are good therapists and not so great, just like there are good.
Every field. Yeah.
But so the mind started to shift, and that gave me hope. But then so the thoughts started to shift, but there's still this stuckness, this depression that was there.
Yeah.
And that I knew that I needed to go deeper. And before even knowing what root cause therapy was or subconscious therapy, I'm like, I need to find the root cause.
Yeah. You just intuitively knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to a lot more yoga and breath work, and they're just going inward and feeling, and I would just cry every dang time, sound healing. I was just so emotional.
Yeah.
I didn't realize at the time, but that's my body releasing.
Yeah.
My body telling me like, hey, this is where to focus.
Yeah. Explain that, because some people in my office too, they're like, I'm sorry, I'm crying. I'm like, to me, like when you're crying, it's a great sign because you're releasing.
I know,
what you can't release. Yeah. I know.
The emotions are so important. Most of us, I think most cultures, the firstborn child, or like everyone's taught to be, in Western culture, taught to be so tough. Girls get more relaxed, more ease on being emotional, but our emotions are our built-in navigation system.
Yes.
They're our regulator.
They're a guide. Yeah.
So now when I work with clients, or even I've worked with some therapists, and they say, I noticed like your lip quiver.
Yeah.
Are you holding back something? I'm like, feel it.
Yes.
Okay, then you start the water works. I don't know why I'm crying. Well, ask yourself, why do you think you're crying? Where do you feel it? All this insight comes up. And so when I say, when you feel an emotion, follow the emotion. It is your breadcrumb, and it's going to help you to know where to work on. Storing, I once had a client where we did an exercise. She's like, I haven't cried in 2 years. I'm like, okay, you're until we meet, your task this week is to cry.
Yeah.
Well, how do I get that? I'm like, honestly, just look in the mirror, stare at yourself in the face. So for a few days, she was like, Krystal, I'm trying. I stared at myself for 15 minutes. Nothing. I'm getting angry. Yeah. One day she was she dropped her kid off at like a karate lesson. She was sitting in the car and she caught a glance of herself in the mirror. She held it for like a minute, for an hour. She's like, she called me, I can't stop crying. What's going on? I'm broken.
That's awesome.
It was years of relief that she needed.
Oh,
yeah. So emotions are so important. So I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. So if you feel the emotions, that is your teacher.
Yep.
That is your built-in teacher.
Yes.
Write it down, journal about it, feel it, cry, wipe the tears away, and then talk about it with your therapist later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if we go into, because I just did this with you right before the interview.
Yes.
It's a long session. What's it, like 2 hours?
Okay, it goes by fast.
It goes by fast, but like we had talked, I think another 2 hours before. Yeah. We've been together most of the day today. It's been lovely.
Yeah.
And it was such a unique modality for me, and it got to so many beliefs like quickly that I needed to shift. Yeah. And so Maybe explain a little bit more of like, was that done to you and that's how you got into this, or
Yeah.
how did you first experience it?
So I wish I could say I just found this and it changed my life, but I wouldn't have recognized how powerful it was unless I had other experiences that were somewhat incomplete.
Mm,
And so, my first introduction to hypnosis was at an event, and it was really random. I wasn't expecting it, but it unlocked a memory, a core memory. And um, I had also been asking, like, okay, I want to find the root cause. This is the time that I'm kind of searching. And so I unlocked this core memory, and I'm like, well, that's the source of all my, the vent is my trauma, or the vent is my root cause. But knowing the event still didn't help. Well, I continued kind of on a quest to figure it out, and I did find other modalities. One of them was psychedelic medicine, so ayahuasca.
okay.
I am a fan of it. I don't recommend it. Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. I truly, truly am a fan. I believe it's part of what has saved my life, in addition to the methods that I teach.
Yeah.
And we won't go into the experience. If you want to, we'll talk about it in another podcast.
Another podcast. Yeah.
But what it did is it helped bring down the walls of my subconscious for me to access it in memories. And what I experienced was, it wasn't the actual event that caused the depression or the anxiety. It wasn't the event. It was how I perceived the event. And that was my first access to it. Now, like, I'm finding that a lot of people know that it's how we perceived the event.
Right.
So when I work with clients, some of them are like, well, Krystal, nothing traumatic happened to me. I had a great childhood, so I don't know. Maybe it's just genetic why I have anxiety. Whatever happened to you, it could be how you perceive. Maybe someone said something and maybe you had a thought process and you created this whole belief that now became your narrative for things. Right. So in this process, thankfully, ayahuasca helped me realize that. So after that, I went searching for a method, because I'm like, ayahuasca was hard to do.
You went to Peru.
I was there for 2 weeks. I did a lot of sessions, too many sessions. And
was there a good integration? That is one of the biggest issues with psychedelics, is if you don't have providers that are well trained and then good integration after, they can be very harmful.
So that's part of the reason why I'm pretty reluctant. I now do integration coaching for psychedelic. I do not administer it, so don't comments. I don't administer it. But so what is integration? Integration is helping to process the insights that you gain from that experience, from talk therapy, a retreat, an event. It's helping you to continue to process the beliefs that you had, the insights, understanding, connecting the dots, really, of, well, I had this belief, and that's where these patterns came from, and that's why I can't go of that pattern, or I have this pattern and it came from this beliefs. That is not I haven't found a group that offers really integration. I did find another ayahuasca organization that's in the States, and it's like the day of integration, which is not, I mean, my integration is still happening in a few years.
It takes a long time.
So, but the first 6 months, the first year is critical. Immediately after, for sure, 6 months, you should be talking to someone specifically about your insights, because, and here's one of the reasons why. When you process an event, you're looking at it at a lens. Maybe you're looking at the traumatized lens, or the point of being traumatic, or really emotional lens. In 3 weeks, you have a different lens because you process things. So you look at that event and you can see more insights. And when you get more insights, forgiveness, self-forgiveness, other happens, acceptance happens. Right. And then you do it 3 months now, and you have a different lens, a different model of the world then. So it's very important to continue an integration process. Most people don't offer it, especially when you do I don't think if there is someone out there who does it, please let me know. But as of right now, I haven't found it. There are integration coaches that offer that. There are integration coaches who also offer to do the medicine. but maybe they've only been doing it for a year. And don't go to anyone who's just started administering plant medicine.
I mean, there's a large network of underground, since it's not legal here yet. I mean, we've got it, you know, 2 states.
Yeah.
But what you want to, anyway, we're getting off topic because we were talking about this. But if you want to find someone, make sure they have a lot of experience with the medicine and a lot of experience with integration, because you don't want to play around with these medicines.
No, and I'll tell you, a lot of people go and experience stuff and they're like, I'm healed. Oh my gosh, I want to spread this with the world. Let me start administering it. First of all, healing is just a nonstop journey. So no one's ever, if you say, oh, I'm healed, sorry, sis or bro, like it's a journey. But you're healing.
Yeah, you're in the process.
You're in the process. The second thing is,
I love that.
Yeah, the people who administer it. So when you do it like at a legal place in the States, most likely it's either ketamine or maybe there's a lot of protocols that they have, and they're definitely doing integration. When you're doing it in other countries, you have to research their ayahuasquero, their shaman.
Yes.
Because you don't want someone who just started doing it last year. My person was doing it since the age of 15. They've been doing it for 40 years. And it's a family thing. There's so many things that go into it, including the music, the preparation. They're not asking you to prepare. Wherever you're going is not asking you to prepare for more than just 2 days or 3 days.
Yeah.
You're going to just pull out.
Yep.
As powerful as it is for healing, it could mess you up.
Yep. Yeah.
So
that's what we see all the time.
Yeah.
The bad trips happen because of set and setting, not having the proper person.
Yeah. Or just trying to do it for fun. No, don't.
No, and that's the other problem. People are using all these things.
It is. Yeah, that's actually a good segue. When I came back and learning about, I didn't know about integration until after I came back.
Oh, okay.
I talked to someone, they're like, oh, how's your integration going? I'm like, what? What do you mean?
How?
Yeah, so I'm like, when I understood, I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense. So then I actually found someone and was working with multiple people. I had had a talk therapist, or I had a clinical therapist, I had a shaman type of person. I had like all aspects covered, a religious person, spiritual person. And I took my integration very seriously. I did say at one point, I'm like, this is really hard. I have a hard time picturing who can do this unless they're really in a deep, dark space like I was. Like, this should be available for everyone, but a kinder way. A lot of people can't do it because of medical reasons.
Oh, totally.
Money, whatever the case may be. Religious reasons. So I found rapid transformation therapy. I did look into breath work. I looked at a lot of somatic things. And the somatic part is good, but was it the subconscious work?
Yes. And you're trained in somatic too, though. So you've blended both.
I'm trained in somatic and trained in subconscious therapy. Subconscious, both are really for sustainable long-term change and change that you could feel. It's the combination. Yeah. The subconscious therapy, people ask, like, what comes first, the body work or the mind work? Yeah. And it's luckily the method I do kind of combines both. Yeah. But the subconscious work helps to get you to uncover the root cause, bring down those walls. And sometimes the somatic work can help bring down those walls too, so you can do the subconscious. That's true. So there's no one right way. It's really connect with your practitioner, and that practitioner should be able to help guide you on what works for you. The biggest thing for anything to work is vulnerability and surrendering. Yeah. And somatic work can help you with that. Right. With the surrendering part. So if you're having a hard time surrendering to even doing the somatic work, maybe there's just really deep-rooted hard trauma and you're not ready yet to do the somatic work, then I'm sorry, a subconscious work. Right. Somatic would be a good first way to start and an introduction. So the subconscious therapy, the method that I learned really kind of mimicked a little bit what I experienced with psychedelic medicine, in that, except it was way more gentler. Ayahuasca was like, you're going in. In this work, I'm like, okay, we're going to gently go down the stairs. Right. Let's create a safe space for you.
No, I know. This is like a very gentle, peaceful. I really liked it.
So I'll summarize the experience that we had together without sharing the details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll show the clips on Thursday. So
Yes. So essentially, we want to first have this conversation of identifying what's the intention of what we want to find today.
Yeah.
And that took a while for us to get to.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
like, well, I kind of know, like, here's my list of problems.
Right.
I had someone come in with like pages of all the things that they want to work.
wow.
And I'm just like, okay, well, let's just put that for aside.
Pick one.
Yeah, like we'll get to those.
Yeah.
And we work to find out, what do you need to know right now?
Yeah.
And when we can get to that, have kind of a clarity sentence of, I want to know the root cause of my anxiety, of the anxiety that I experience, or I want to know why I get triggered in such and such, or I want to know why I get angry at my children. And I don't want to. I want to be nice, the kind and loving mother, but I can't stop yelling at them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And these are all real things that
Come to you.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
have come to me. Or I work with a lot of business professionals, CEOs, executives, and they're like, I feel stuck. I want to make a move, but I can't. Like, I can't pull the trigger, or I'm fearful of finances. What is it? And so we identify what the question is we want to answer.
Right.
Then we use hypnosis, which is more of like a really nice guided meditation to help relax, get you into your brainwaves into a theta state. Right. So Dr. Joe Dispenza again, and also Bruce Lipton. I think Bruce Lipton actually first started talking about it. We have different brainwaves, and the theta brainwave is where our mind is suggestible. So that is the best time for you to give your mind suggestions on what to do, and it will most likely follow you.
Mm-hmm.
So that theta stage can be achieved in meditation, chanting, some prayers, and that, like, moments right before you fall asleep and right when you wake up.
I could see that. Yeah.
So in that suggestible state, I will then get you to first create your safe space before we go digging. Yeah. Because some people, something does come up and they need to go to somewhere safe really quick. So I make sure you guys always have a safe space. And then we go and command the mind to reveal to you what you need to know right now. Mm-hmm. So maybe when you are trying to do this on your own, you're like, oh, nothing's coming up. Getting into that theta state, that relaxed state, can help you say, like, okay, you are going to tell me what I need to know. Not everything, not this whole book of questions, but just what I need to know right now. Then I help to guide you in you bring up the core memories. And what's funny is, like, you're like, I don't know what memory is going to come up. And something comes up, and we try not to make sense of it. We just kind of observe it. Yeah. Usually feel the emotions. Were you in it?
I was, for sure.
Yeah. So we feel, we observe, and then we keep exploring. And once we gather enough data, like memories, we start to see, why did your mind bring this up to you in the first place? You asked it to bring it up. You didn't know what it was going to be, and it brought up these. So then we start to connect the dots. Right. Yeah. And so how did you feel when you were connecting the dots? So at first you were observing at your 7-year-old self, at your 10-year-old self. And so you're feeling the feels. Yeah. But then when you're, like, trying to connect the dots, you're back to your adult self.
I know. That was really powerful, because what I had worked with was how shame comes up when I make a mistake. And, like, it was, that's what we were working on, because I see it in my current reality. And I couldn't believe how many memories came up so quickly. Like, that was really trippy. Yeah. But each one had a different layer to it and created a protection that is still in place as an adult, that I didn't realize where it was coming from. So, I mean, I don't know if we want to go into detail or people will see, but
yeah, I would encourage you to watch the other video. I think the main thing is you were able to see things that we just had an hour-long conversation before, and these are all new things that came up. Yeah, which they were kind of random.
They seemed random.
Yeah,
but then I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. Yeah. And they created beliefs that I had that I still hold on to. I mean, one of them was the test I took for GATE.
Yeah.
And how I didn't pass the test. And so I had determined I wasn't smart just from that moment on. And I had created this, like, I have to push myself so hard and work hard to get better grades. And that there was some truth to that. Like, I had to work harder than the average person just because I didn't remember things as easily or whatever.
Yes.
But that I still, like, am operating that way today. Like, I still at some level don't feel like I know enough, as even after doing therapy for 24 years.
No matter what you do, you're licensed,
Yeah.
board certified for 20
I've done all these different trainings, but I'm constantly doing more trainings because I feel like I don't know enough. And there's this constant feeling internally of like, at the core, I'm not smart enough. And when I traced it back to that, it was like, oh my gosh, I've been holding on to that. Because of course, back then too, I mean, I am not smart in a traditional way.
Yeah.
So like I never, math and science, I'm not very good at, but my EQ is like off the charts. But back then they didn't know EQ or they didn't talk about it or whatever.
Which is unfortunate because you're brilliant.
I'm brilliant in a certain way.
Yeah.
But so I could never see myself as that. And it's like, that's really important to embrace, especially as a therapist, because that's why I'm so intuitive. And it's why I'm like, and that's emotional smartness, but it's just, I have to embrace that and feel good about that. I've got this because I have this intuition, right?
Yes.
But anyway, this has always been lurking in the background, which is why I kill myself to sign up for more and more trainings.
Yeah.
Because I never think I'm good enough. It's like ridiculous how it plays into the present.
It does, and it's always so hard. I mean, I feel like every person in a healing capacity or is suffering with the I'm still not enough.
I know that comes up for most people in some area.
Right, and it's not that we are not. We should be in the positions that we are because we have this emotional EQ. We have this intuitive, like we can still help people.
Yeah.
But this crazy belief that came from basically
one test of fourth grade or whatever,
a test that's not in alignment with who we are anyways.
Right.
But yeah, we got stigmatized. And
so anyway, she unlocked that and I was like, okay, now I don't have to hold that belief and now I don't have to push myself so hard. Like, why do I need that extra training? And I'm already doing good enough. And it's like, I knew this cognitively because I can see myself always pushing harder, but there was something about unlocking the root of it that felt like I could release it.
Right. And that's the beauty of it, because when I work mostly with adults, and a lot of adults who mostly have done, like, they do inner work.
Yeah.
Or they do some sort of work. And they're like, well, I know it's from my mother and I'm a people pleaser because my mother was, or because my mother was an alcoholic and I need to do this. And they're like, well, why can't I change? That's probably not the root cause.
Yeah.
And so when we go back, I'm always surprised on what it is. We're both, me and the client are always surprised.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that was it?
I know, that's how I felt when I came out of it. I'm like, it was just that one instant. And then we had come up with 4 different ones.
So even going back, so what we found was, going back even earlier, there was a moment where you felt shame because you did hard work and it wasn't enough for this particular person.
Yes.
Your perception, we don't even know if he actually said you're not enough.
Right. I think it was just a look on his face.
Right. So you created this perception.
Right.
And that belief was, I have to work harder to please people so that they can, be nice and kind and not get in trouble. And that created the brain's like, okay, I need to protect Maria. So let me shame her so that shame her into doing the work and working even harder so she never has to experience this again.
Yeah. Right.
And
then you were able to do the piece of bringing adult me, which I loved because I love all the inner child stuff.
Yeah, we did inner child work. We did
parts work. We did all this stuff combined. It was beautiful.
It was a lot. It was great.
But I mean, that was really reparative too. And then we replaced the shame with love, and it's like coming out of it that that's what I want that belief to be replaced with.
Yes.
That was powerful.
And you got to choose what you replace it with.
Yes.
And you also, we gave shame a voice.
Yeah. I liked that a lot.
Yeah. And which I was surprised too, because a lot, the shame identified that it was created by you. It was created out of form of protection.
Right.
And it was serving you.
Yeah.
Because it created you to be a high performer, high achiever, and be successful, and to a point where, okay, now it's not serving me anymore. And when I asked the shame, like, well, what will it take for you to, leave Maria? She's like, well, he said, well, Maria's got it. I already know she's going to take care of it. She'll figure it out. I'm like, then why are you still here? Well, Maria has to let you go.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful for you to come up with no, I don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah. I'm
just hanging out. Yeah.
I just, by habit, allow the shame to come in.
Yeah.
I know. So that was really incredible. So I like to present these new types of like modalities just because sometimes, therapy can work for some people, but sometimes coaching has these really powerful, types of tools that can really make a shift that people aren't aware even exist.
Yes.
And so, is there anything else as we wrap up that
I think
is important?
To touch on your point, form of my therapy is not going to be your fix-all. I wish I get calls sometimes. They're like, can you hypnotize me and wake me up to be a different person? Like, people have asked me that.
Oh yeah, this was good to cover. Fixes don't exist with anything. I just
if I figure it out, I'm gonna charge you a lot of money to do it to you guys. Because there isn't.
Yeah.
And that's not meant to make you feel disheartened or saddened. It's actually a relief, if you choose to see it that way, saying like, okay, this is just a journey and it's full of experiences. So in this journey, God has created so many, every version of God there are so many versions of way to help you. We're not meant to be stuck like this.
Yeah.
I never meant to be stuck in depression. Depression was a way of trying to get my attention that I needed some healing. Insomnia was trying to get my attention. Anxiety was trying to get my attention. And once I started paying attention, I learned the subconscious therapy, the somatic. Talk therapy is conscious therapy. We actually need all of it.
Yeah.
And we connected because we both believe in integrative wellness and healing. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you have this platform to show different ways. I definitely love this way because it helped me to hey, why am I still feeling like this? I've been doing all these years of healing and it's still here. Why?
Yeah.
And I go back and I'm like, oh, that's the reason. Okay, great. You're gone. I'm replacing you and put it into my practice.
Like pulling out the very root.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why I feel so good right now.
Yeah. I saw your body when we were pulling it out. And then
I was like picturing a string pulling out of like all the gunk.
Yeah. It is super powerful. It includes rapid transformation therapy. I am, we call it RTT for short. So I am a practitioner of that, but please be aware of any type of healing that says rapid, quick, anything will work fast, because it's not fast. There are ways to get shifts quicker.
Yeah.
There are ways to get shifts at a deeper level quicker, but you're not done. Then I have to go, let's say you're my therapist.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I just had this session with Krystal. I found the root cause. Okay. So let's bring this into, I want to talk more about this. And then you're like, great, Krystal, you can you're part of my integration now.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, then I go to my sound healing and I go to my breath work and get it out of my body. Right. And then in 6 months, I'm just like, I haven't experienced anxiety in 6 months. This is amazing. Yeah. Which is what's happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be a person who I planned ahead knowing that I would have anxiety attacks, to where I'm like, oh, when's the last time anxiety?
That's incredible. I mean, the transformation of where you come from, I mean, it's so inspiring.
Thank you. I sometimes think about that past version and I get emotional because I feel bad for her what she had, because she's still in me.
Yeah.
And so I'll check in, dip in with her from time to time and say, I'm sorry that you went through that, but we're never going back there. In fact, come with me, check out my new, I live by the beach. I have amazing friends. We get to do yoga and drink some fancy water.
Yeah.
I mean,
water.
I'm talking now about like what people think wellness is. Sorry. It's just I wanted that life for myself. So I created that reality by shifting my mindset.
Yeah.
I told myself I'm never going back. And now my whole life is created to keep me from doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the power of it. From being suicidal and toxic and drama filled, I'm now like living in essentially sovereignty. Like I feel so much freedom.
That's awesome.
And happy to help other people. So don't rely on a quick fix. It's not going to fix anything.
But if you feel curious about this, we have Krystal's information on the show notes, and you could reach her. Or what could they look up? Well, you do online.
Yeah. So
right?
So I do virtual and in person. So I'm in Orange County, but it works just as well virtually.
So it doesn't matter where they live.
It doesn't matter. I have clients in Canada right now and other states.
Okay.
So we can definitely still work together. My packages are really small because we don't need a lot of sessions. We make big shifts, and then I release you to the world to go and start to
integrate.
I do help with the integration. So it's the subconscious and some mind body transformation, but also to keep it going, I require that you do integration work with me. Then I release you out.
Yeah.
And then maybe you come back in a year like, hey, I have some new stuff, but I'm so much better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it goes. It's just you heal a little bit, you go out into the world and test yourself out.
Yep. I like that.
Get triggered and see how you handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna spend 6 months getting healing and then nothing ever bad is not gonna happen to me ever again. Or you're not gonna go to a $10,000 5-day retreat and come back.
Right. I know the retreats are the biggest, I think, suck in where people feel like they're gonna be changed forever. And it's like it's such a high too, right?
It is. I think,
but if you don't integrate it back into your life.
Thank you. So we're not saying retreats don't suck, because I'm gonna have a retreat.
Yeah.
If you're not doing the integration afterwards, you just wasted your money.
Yeah.
So that's
right.
Yeah, I'm going to get a bunch of calls right now. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So to find me, you can work with me virtually or in person. I'm at the rewiredself.com or Coach Krystal Rose. And on Instagram, I try to post some fun educational things, so you can do that. But I'll have a free chat with you. Maybe this is the right tool, but let's have a conversation, because I can help direct you to a person like Maria or to any of the other wonderful practitioners I know to find the right next step for you.
Well, thank you so much for joining. All right. Well, we'll see you next week at Callie's for Healing, and make sure to check out the video where she actually does the work.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.